Hey guys, Basilius here, and welcome back to another episode of EU4. Today we're playing as the Bahmanis Sultanate in central India, and this guide will take you to being a strong regional power, to being the undisputed master of India by 1550, or even sooner if you play this game more aggressively than I did in this campaign. Now, the Bahmanis Sultanate has managed to carve out a strong power base for itself in 1444 in central India, after winning independence from the Tughlaq dynasty of Delhi in the 14th century. In real life, they had splintered apart by the 1500s because of long-time dominance by prime ministers. However, under our careful guidance, we can avoid their collapse and turn them into the strongest power in the world. The Bahmanis start off with a great ruler and heir, as well as great ideas and starting personalities of rulers, which makes it easy for them to snowball and become one of the best economic as well as military powers in all of India. In this guide, I'll show you how to achieve all this and much more. Our starting enemies in this playthrough are mostly Gujarat, Vijayanagar, and Malwa, but we can easily defeat these powers with careful military planning and guidance. It's not so hard to become the master of southern India. So without further ado, let's get straight into this guide. We'll begin by setting the rivals to be Vijayanagar, Gujarat, and Jaunpur. These are the three biggest targets that we have at the start of the game. Now, as speaking about the estates, we can see that the Bahmanis have a relatively standard estates setup. You just want to take all of the +1 mana privileges, give the advisor discount privileges, and also take expansionist zealotry, which gives us a morale boost against heathens and heretics when we're at war with them. This effectively means that the Bahmanis will have a much better chance at winning wars against heretics and heathens. And since we're the only Shia nation in the entire Indian subcontinent, we're effectively just getting a free 5% morale boost and no malice to us. For the emirs, you want to take the +1 cost as well as increased levies, and just generally take privileges that keep these estates above 50% loyalty. One of the most important things to consider in Indian estates is whether or not you want to keep all your estates above 50% loyalty. In this case, we have 6 estates, and this means that we have a much more difficult time in balancing the loyalties and needs of these estates than a European nation that only has 3 estates would. So, at the short-term harm of giving away all our crownland and absolutism increase, we're just going to give a bunch of privileges out and ensure that we can just seize land and summon diets in order to get our crownland back up later. And we have more than enough time until the lack of crownland really starts hurting us in the age of absolutism, which we won't cover in this guide. But now that the estates are done and we've taken burgher loans, we're just going to hire advisors right off the bat. And since our ruler starts with a well-connected privilege and we use the estate advisor cost reduction privileges, we get our advisors at an effective 33% discount. At this point, I'm hiring some mercenaries for our immediate declaration of war, and as well as an alliance with Mewar, to call them into our first war with Gujarat. This is probably the most important war that we'll have in this entire campaign, as it allows us to nip an early threat in the bud, as Gujarat can become one of the most annoying nations in the game because they control the Gujarat trade node, as well as often get alliances with larger powers. But if you attack them early, they're not really a problem. So you can see here, we're just gradually piecing out Gujarat's allies, and now we have 100% of them. And the peace deal you want to take is full annexing them. In this case, we've given one province to Mewar just to keep them happy, and what full annexing them does is basically take out an Indian major power from the map, as well as give us the Gujarati vassal of Khandesh for free. This enables us to complete the mission, secure Khandesh for free, which gives us claims over all of Gujarat. And though we've taken a lot of the Gujarat principality areas, we still need to clean up a lot of the minor nations that are actually on the peninsula. So at this point, I'm also dismantling the alliance with Mewar, because it's really not necessary after that first war. If Gujarat gets allies, that's why we allied them in the first place. And now that we finished that war, they're just our future expansion target, and we're going to attack them soon enough. So at this point, I'm looking to attack some of the Gujarati miners, and these minor nations will easily fall under the might of our military. The only annoying thing about cleaning these up is that they sometimes allow to Vijayanagar and which case you don't want to attack them until you fight your first war against Vijayanagar much later on. You can see here I'm just co-belligerating all of them so I can take them out in 1 or 2 wars instead of fighting one specific war for each one. It just goes by a lot faster, believe me. Another annoying thing about fighting all of these Gujarati miners is the amount of rebels that they produce. And just skipping forward a few years, we've pretty much consolidated this Gujarati area, giving us a foothold in the Gujarati trade node. We basically control all of the provinces there, but since it's upstream from our main trade node, we are not actually making that much profit from it. And I also pieced out this South Indian miner who was allied to one of the Gujarati nations and vassalized them, so it'll prove handy in the war with Vijayanagar later. Now, at this point, I'm just improving relations with all of our vassals and piecing out this last Gujarati miner, which will almost allow us to complete the mission on Good Gujarat. I also declared war on Mewar, who pretty much immediately got jumped by Balwa and almost full annexed, other than the province we gave them, ironically. So I guess we saved Mewar. It's kind of funny, actually. And now we've completed the mission Secure Gujarat, other than one province, I think, that's Baglana. And I'm also looking to annex Telangana, which is important for the mission. At this point, I'm rivaling Orissa and preparing to declare war on Vijayanagar for probably the hardest war we'll have the entire game. That's our first war with Vijayanagar. So immediately, I'm just blocking up all my troops together and making sure that they stay close, because we have a sizable numbers advantage on Vijayanagar, and so we must focus on attacking the troops in one area so we can use our morale advantage that we get from our estate privileges and traditions and just decapitate them early on. And as you can see, our first engagement was a resounding success. Now the Vijayanagari troops are basically down and out for the count and completely disorganized. The Vijayanagar nation also at this point is going to be facing a lot of revolts due to some bad missions they get and and events they get, which basically forces them to choose between giving the southern provinces a bunch of autonomy or having a large-scale revolt. So at this point, we completely stack wipe the Vijayanagars here, and we just have free license to siege all of the forts. So basically the strategy you're using in this war is putting all your troops near one fort, sieging that down, destroying the Vijayanagar army, and then sieging the rest of it. And now that we've won the war, you just generally want to take all of your cores, the city of Vijayanagar itself, the province of Madurai, and whatever else you can spare. Do make sure to take money though. From the province in the south that we took, we're releasing the vassal of Madurai, which has a bunch of cores all over southern India that makes it much easier for us to take all of this. And I'm also starting to state the core provinces that we got, because it allows access to the coast and a lot of them actually centers of trade. Now at the start of the game, you will be full stating everything just because it allows you to snowball that much faster, but in the later portions of the game, when your government capacity is limited, it's important that you are a little more conservative with what you state. And we just completed the mission City of Victory, which basically takes away 6 development from Vijayanagar's old capital, renames it, and also gives it the development back to us. As you can see, we already own most of the Gujarat trade mode and have a monopoly in the Deccan trade mode. So this is a very good sign for trade indicators in the future. As you can see, we have a sizable amount of trade income, and we're soon going to be switching our trade node to Coromandel after we conquer more of the Vijayanagari lands, because it's just much more lucrative than the Deccan trade node, and we're allowed to properly develop those areas. Now I'm currently developing the Renaissance. I kind of misplayed this. That was kind of my bad. I forgot to instate the Encourage Development Edict before I started developing, so I did waste around 100 mana points. That's okay. And as you can see, we just got this great event. I'm going to take the stability. I'm also starting to build up buildings everywhere. It's going to just provide a sizable boost in our income. Just in those 5 buildings, that's an extra half a ducat of income. And that will eventually scale as we develop our land more. So, at this point, we are making a lot of money, and just a quick jump cut. We have a lot of money. We've taken diplomatic ideas as our first idea, and as you can see, we already have the second highest income in the world by just 1580. Now, it's probably because we haven't discovered the Ottomans. I think they will just edge out over us, but it's not that hard to eclipse the Ottomans in income if you just scale a little bit more. As you can see, we are now annexing Khandesh. I'm just re-mothballing this fort and stating the province. It is quite good developed land, so it is worth it to state. Obviously, I'm going to be unstating the less developed areas of my empire once I run out of governing capacity to do so. Now, I'm going to sell titles to embrace the institution of the Renaissance, which gives me, ability to actually take these texts at a good time. This immediately means all our rivals stop rivaling us, and that means our only rival is actually the Mamluks. So at this point, I'm going to be declaring a war of conquest on Andhra. It does call in Vijayanagar, which allows me to reset the truce to just 5 years instead of 10 or 15. And it also allows me to get access to a lot of valuable provinces in the Coromandel trade node, as Andhra is basically all centers of trade. The thing is, Andhra is, since I already have a lot of aggressive expansion with them, I'm just annexing and then releasing them afterwards. So it basically resets the aggressive expansion, and also allows me to feed them the cores that they have on Vijayanagar, because they have a lot of cores on Orissa and Vijayanagar. And that's what we're going to be attacking from them in the next war. I'm also improving relations just to make sure they're loyal and all that. And that will allow me to keep them happy and stable. At this point, I'm also going to start declaring war on Orissa. I'm going to call in Bengal, because I just want to make the war a little easier. I did ally Bengal at some point during the run, just to take away aggressive expansion from a key power in the region, and also basically be a meat shield when I'm fighting difficult wars. Also allied Bengal because they were guaranteeing Malwa, and I wanted to attack Malwa without bringing in Bengal, so my strategy was to attack Orissa, and then before I peace out with Orissa, I will attack Malwa, which allows me to circumvent the Bengali alliance and just attack Malwa directly. Now, this war was pretty easy. They didn't really have any alliances because they were Hindu, and that's one of the advantages of playing in India as a Muslim nation. The Hindu nations are really kind of weak, and we just unlock workshops, which I'm now building everywhere. So just hiring an advisor here, our war is basically almost done. But if we look at our army quality, we actually have the most morale in the world by over 1 full point, and that's kind of insane for just 1471. We almost have 5 morale as a nation that's only been in the game for 30 years. We don't even have that many crazy morale bonuses. It's just a bunch of them just stacked up, and that just truly shows the power of the Bahmanis. So at this point, I am attacking Malwa. As you can see, the Bengal is not joining. That helps us a lot. Basically, completely takes out the Bengali alliance, and as you can see, they're still allied to us. And from the war with Orissa, I'm just taking some of my claims and some of these undeveloped provinces. I'm also just taking some extra provinces. I'm separate piecing this small Hindu nation, Rathanpur, and taking money and war reps. The aggressive expansion really doesn't matter because they're Hindu, and there's not really that many Hindu nations left after I curbs down Vijayanagar, and the northern ones are pretty irrelevant, so you don't really need to worry about those being in a coalition. They're mostly just fodder nations. I'm just going down to attack Orissa here, because I want to wait for I peace out, and now they're going to accept. And as soon as I click this peace deal, I realize I accidentally gave a province over to Bengal. It's not really a big deal. I just take it when I invade Bengal later in the campaign. So now our Malwanese war is pretty much done. In this war, I'm not looking to take too much unnecessary provinces because I will be able to just take them later. So I just took all my claims, which I got from the mission that we completed. There's still one more province that we need to take for the mission to be completed, so I will be attacking Jodhpur for that later. Now we are attacking Vijayanagar for reconquest of our cores, which we have 2 vassals that have over 100 development worth of cores, with those being Madurai and Andhra. And in this war, which is really quick, so I'm just jumping to the peace deal, we're just reconquesting all of our cores, which basically takes down Vijayanagar to a rump state at this point. They only have a very few lands. This also allows me to complete some of these missions that are more related to internal development. These gives me very cheap advisors that will be able to sustain our man generation for a few decades at least. And as you can see, I just kind of completed like 5 missions in a row here. It was pretty good. You will be able to complete most of the missions on the left side of your tree just by generally playing the game and developing yourself, but the other missions, they do require you to focus on some conquests. So at this point, I just quelled a bunch of rebel uprisings, but I am making my main trade center into Coromandel, so I can start getting some much better trade income. And while there is an initial contraction as our trade income starts increasing and we start transferring trade properly, it will increase our trade and we will be making the most trade income in the world by pretty soon. So while initially you might see just a little bit less income, it is worth it in the long run. And I'm just, since I had spare Diplo points, I just wanted to get it over with in that time. And as you can see, I'm also like gradually trying to upgrade some of these trade centers because I want to get that extra trade power in the region. I also started a trade fleet that would be able to give me property trade. Now we're attacking Vijayanagar, not Vijayanagar, Jaunpur, for the one province we have a claim on. However, we are taking much more than that, because Jaunpur is kind of annoying to fight, if we're going to be honest. They have a lot of highly developed land, and you need a lot of provinces in this region to form Hindustan. So I was just trying to snake my way through Jaunpur and get some vassals that I could release properly to win the war. And as you can see, I took this peace deal that gave me the claims I wanted, and also some of these provinces. And as you can see, these nations are not too happy with me, but also not enough that they could actually beat me in a coalition war. So I just took these provinces, and from the upper two provinces, I released the vassals of Ud, and I also released the vassal of Budalkand, or I think that's Budalkand. I'm not sure. Yeah, something like that. And these basically have cores on 6 provinces in the upper area that will allow me to just feed them, and I don't have to core them myself. Now I'm gonna look for this mission, Crush Delhi. If I complete it, I just need to occupy Delhi and have much more army than them. If I complete it, I just get 6 development from there and a bunch of money, and also a bit of prestige and modifier in my capital. It's very strong actually, and it allows me to basically cripple Delhi for the rest of the game. Obviously, I will be taking Delhi into any war that actually happens. And now that my estates are very loyal, I'm completing the missions that are regarded to me on the left side of my mission tree, which is more on the estates and keeping your nation happy. Most of them are pretty easy. You just need to build marketplaces and buildings, so it's about economic development that you should be doing anyways in your campaign. But I was just building them in the specific provinces that I needed to complete the mission. Now, if you are playing optimally, you do not want to switch to Hindustan immediately after you conform it. You do want to finish all of the Bahmani missions because it gives you some nice permanent modifiers, and the Hindustan mission tree is undoubtedly a downgrade to the Bahmanis, at least in terms of modifiers. It does give you a lot of nice permanent claims though. That's probably just because the Bahmanis was updated recently and it has just more content than Hindustan. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. And looking at the army quality again, we are sizably above every other nation that we are fighting in the Indian subcontinent in terms of quality, which makes these wars ridiculously easy. I mean, it's kind of a joke how easy these wars are to win. And as you can see, we are piecing out Bengal. I'm taking the one province and some money, I think. Yes, I'm taking this one province. And as you can see, we're kind of in the midst of a lot of rebellions. And that's just the nature of the Indian subcontinent. The fact that there are so many tags and that you are the wrong religion and wrong culture in a lot of provinces means that you will kind of have a lot of trouble dealing with the rebels. If you want, you could take humanist ideas. I didn't because, it's free army tradition. And from Delhi, I just took these few provinces. Basically, I'm just trying to release Punjab because Punjab has cores over almost 150 worth of development. It's really crazy. Punjab is one of the most overpowered releasables you can have in this game, but just because it's like one of those releasables you always take, just like Iraq in the Middle East or Syria, or like the Timurids, whenever you can vassalize them, they just have cores over that much land in Delhi. Makes taking them pretty much free aggressive expansion-wise, and it basically stops any coalition from forming. As you can see, Malwa had a revolt, and one of their nations seceded. And I also took quantity ideas with diplomatic, just for the good policies and to increase my army if I ever wanted to fight the Ottomans, who some of the most busted ideas in the game. We're fighting Vijayanagar for the 3rd time, and we're just taking more land, more and more land. Um, it's kind of a steamroll, and we're also getting military tech uh, pretty ahead of time. Yeah, another nice thing about any AI player control nation, you will always be ahead of time on tech just because you're much more efficient at mana generation than the AI. And as you can see, I'm just attacking nations every which way. I have a war with Vijayanagar going, I have a war with Sindh going, I have a war with Jaunpur going, although that's probably just because they guaranteed Sindh. And I'm just trying to conquer as many of these minor nations as possible before I start focusing on these major powers because the truces are kind of annoying to fight. Now, as you can see, I'm just piecing out Jaunpur with a white piece because I want the truce to be as short as possible. And then I'm taking all of these provinces from Shin. Help me a lot in the war. Don't have the admin man in the court just yet, but should be fine. If you're ever really struggling to quell these rebellions, you can always take humanist, as I said. But I am feeding some of these provinces to my South Indian vassal because I do not want to core this all by myself, and my overextension would go kind of insane. As you can see, I'm already dangerously overextended. EU4 is yelling at me, although this is really not that much if you've ever played a horde. As you can see, we are the #1 great power, and after looking at income comparison with the Ottomans, we are falling behind in 3rd place, but the Ottomans tend to have artificially boosted income due to lucky nation modifiers, and we will eclipse the Ottomans once we lower autonomy, build more buildings, and just get more trade income coming online. So it's really not that hard to completely beat the Ottomans in economic and military matters if you just be patient and scale your nation. As I said, the Bahmanis is one of the most overpowered nations, and as you can see, we have a sizable war chest of around 2,000 ducats that I just let build up. We had a really good workshop there that got us 1.5 ducats just from that workshop, which is frankly insane. And meanwhile, we are attacking Jaunpur. This is war that we're taking reconquest, but we're also going to go for Varanasi and Pataliputra as the 2 provinces we are targeting the most. This is just because there are 2 provinces that are necessary to form Hindustan, and we're just trying to rush the formable and get that over with as soon as possible, because a lot of the times these nations get really annoying Muslim allies. For example, they ally the Timurids as they did, but the Timurids in this game were pretty easy to defeat. Their vassals all seceded, but oddly they didn't take land, so Timurids were strong, regional power strong, but they also weren't strong enough to actually pose a threat to the Bahmani Empire. As you can see from the Timurids, I'm just taking a province out of Claymon as part of our mission tree. Now, if you really wanted to pursue this, you could attack Hormuz for those 2 provinces, but in my game, they managed to ally both the Ottomans and the Mamluks, so I decided it wasn't worth fighting the really protracted war, because it would just be an annoying war that would, for 2 provinces, and I don't even have naval superiority, probably lose or be forced into a white peace. Just because we are strong, but we're not strong enough to fight both the Ottomans and the Mamluks at once. As you can see, I just took some provinces. I just snaked up the provinces I needed and cleaned up some of the borders. And we're going to be attacking Malwa and Vijayanagar as soon as our truce ends. But we're also going to be annexing some of our vassals. As you can see, our southern Indian front looks much, much cleaner. And since I've been building town halls and courthouses everywhere, we have a lot of free governing capacity that we can use to state. Now, we also declared war on Delhi, and we're taking a sizable amount of land from Bengal. As you can see, we're basically crippling their trade income, because I wanted to steer trade from the Bengal trade notes, so I took a lot of land from them. 95% war score, and their level 3s and level 2 centers. That basically cripples them for the rest of the game. They won't ever be a threat again. And from Delhi, obviously, I'm taking the cores I have for Punjab and just as many provinces as I can, to be honest. As you can see, is quite a few provinces. And yeah, it just looks way better. Okay, as you can see, we have a lot of rebels, and that's just the nature of playing in India, as I said before. That's why I'm pretty much at 100 army tradition all of the time, but it is a massive manpower sink, and I did have to slacken recruitment standards at some point just to get my nation back on track. As you can see now, we are making a lot of money from our trade. We're making around 24 ducats, and that's a lot. So another quick war with Vijayanagar. I'm just full annexing them. I need Sri Lanka to form Hindustan. I don't understand the design choice because of that, because the United Hindustan never actually had Sri Lanka, especially like, actually India never had Sri Lanka at any point. But, it's a design choice. I understand why they did it, but narratively it makes no sense. I'm making a lot of courthouses to reduce my governing capacity, which I am slightly over at this point in the campaign. I think I was too overzealous with my stating. And I also trade companies some provinces, because the province of Chittagong is actually in the Burma subcontinent region, and since it's just a valuable trade province, I decided to try and trade company it so I could just get that extra merchant. But unfortunately, I didn't get the extra merchant in this game. If I put a little bit more effort into getting it, I probably could have, but I was just not feeling the added mini-max. This is basically just a chill campaign, and I also hadn't played EU4 for a while before this, but you know what, it's fine. Whatever happens, happens. Just building more courthouses to reduce governing capacity, and this is where the snowball really starts. As you can see, we're transferring over 20 ducats to Coromandel from Deccan, and now that we have the full Coromandel trade node, we basically have a monopoly over trade in the region. And the reason that I'm not switching my main trade to Gujarat is because other nations have a lot of presence in Gujarat, like Hormuz. They actually are hard-coded to start to try and do provinces there, as I'm claiming submissions that I should have claimed a long time ago, but I was not that I wasn't paying attention to lowering autonomy in Golconda specifically. But yeah, that basically gives a bunch of modifiers to Golconda as the province, which would become Hyderabad later. But as I was saying, Gujarat as a trade node is kind of hard to control 100% just because it goes to so many. And as I make a claim on Vijayanagar and attack them again, sorry, I keep saying Vijayanagar when I mean Jaunpur. I already full annexed Vijayanagar. I'm also attacking Marwar. I could vassalize them, but I felt like it was not worth it. Because, for one, it's bad borders. It'd take me 10 years to annex them. And secondly, they didn't have any cores I could actually do. So I just decided to annex them. Say, to hell with them, am I right? It was a pretty easy war. I just kind of took some Nepali miners out as well, because they were allied to Marwar. I also just took these provinces. It's just 5 provinces, all low development, because it's Rajasthan. And, yeah. One thing I do really find funny is province density in EU4, because you have provinces in the steppes, and you have provinces in like India that are the sizes of some small European countries almost. And then you look in Europe, and that same like geographic land area is split into 5 provinces that each almost have like the same development. I just think that's pretty funny scale-wise, because obviously if EU4 was to scale, the map would look a lot different and it would have been good for gameplay, as I vassalized Afghanistan just because they have a lot of cores. My aim was to make them sort of a buffer state. I was kind of going for good borders in this campaign, because I just wanted to make a chill India and unify the land based on the subcontinent regions. As you can see here, I'm just taking all of this land from Jaunpur. It's pretty easy to do so, and I'm just keeping them alive because it's less than 100% war score anyways. So at this point, we can actually form Hindustan, but I decided not to, because as I said before, our mission tree has some nice permanent modifiers. As you can see, we can form Hindustan, but our mission tree has modifiers such as an extra merchant and advisor cost for the rest of the game. And I didn't go for the advisor cost because we actually had to conquer all of Persia, and that's kind of annoying to do in such a short time. But I did go for the extra merchant, which would actually snowball me in income, and this actually means we have the highest income in the game by over 30 ducats, which is kind of insane if you ask me. We are making over 40 ducats in trade, 40 ducats in taxation, and 40 ducats in production. And as we attack Delhi for one final time, I'm co-belligerent in Bengal just to try and get as much land from them as possible. It's kind of just a mad dash to unify Hindustan as fast as possible at this point. Just a quick jump cut. I'm just taking these provinces. I'm also taking those two Burmese provinces because I can add them to the trade company and benefit my acquisition of extra merchants. Merchants is kind of the big bottleneck to our economic growth here, which is probably why I would take trade ideas for my third idea group, although I don't think I got there in this campaign. Um, you generally want to annex these nations as soon as possible, and just giving back provinces to Afghanistan. As you can see, they are increasing. Also, I'm playing at extremely high overextension here. If that is a little unpalatable to you as a player of EU4, you can see we have a hell of a lot of rebels. You can always just slow down the conquest or take humanists. That helps you a lot with your overextension. But at some point, I just said I just want to conquer, and I want to conquer fast. So I got the extra merchant from my mission tree, and I just decided to form Hindustan. Immediately, we could do two of the missions to unite India, and we got Deccan and Coromandel, which are the two most developed regions in India, other than Hindustan proper. But as I decided, my end goal of the campaign today would be to unify India, I just kind of went ham and attacked a bunch of nations after this. So after a few quick wars, I basically had united all of India. I'll just show you that in a second. I'm currently just stating up all of the provinces that I have, because I think Hindustan gives you a governing capacity modifier or something like that in their ideas. Hindustan does have some really good ideas. They have better ideas than Bahmanis for sure. They probably have the best ideas on the subcontinent in general, and I will walk you through them in a minute. But obviously, it's kind of a misnomer. We're not Hindustan. We're definitely a Hindu empire. We're just Sheik in name only. Let's go through the ideas. Combat ability, governing cap, infantry combat ability, advisory cost, separatism, legitimacy, fire damage, missionary strength, and development cost, which is all extremely good. I was also developing colonialism at this point. You can see that we're making 85 ducats a month. I got these Jain loans just so I could embrace the institution that allowed me to take Tech 10. And yeah, for this third idea group, I did take trade ideas. You can pick whatever you want that suits your playstyle, but I picked trade just because I wanted to make a trading empire centered around Coromandel or Gujarat, which would really help me take off economically. As you can see here, I'm now decreasing autonomy everywhere in my nation, which will be kind of annoying when I have a bunch of rebels, but it also means that I'm making over almost 100 ducats per month. Obviously, you just saw it go down by 20 ducats, but that's just because you're rooting out corruption. Now, a quick jump cut. After a few years, we have unified Hindustan by around 1550. I took some provinces from the Timurids, kind of the Baluchistan region in Pakistan, just for the good borders, and as you can see, we got the mission, Unify Hindustan. Gives us a mission to change our capital to Delhi. I didn't choose it because we sacked Delhi, so it doesn't make sense roleplay-wise. So we got the Indian Empire mission, which means we've unified India. And that's basically the campaign. We're the #1 world power, and it was nice playing with you guys. If you want a part 2, do let me know. Other than that, this is Basilius. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you got this far, and goodbye.